43.
42. 41.
40.
39.
Number 1.
39.
38.
37.
36.
35.
34.
33. 32.
31.
30. 29.
28.
27.
26.
25.
24.
23.
21.
20.
19.
18.
17. 16.
15.
14.
13.
12.
11.
10.
9. 8.
7.
6.
5.
4.
3.5.
3.
2.
1.
Hey, Rocky, you want to see me pull a show out of my hat? Nothing up my sleeve. Presto!
And welcome to the Mouthwash Talk Show, a minty, fresh take on politics. And boy, it's been fun tonight. So I was at a GOP meeting tonight, and it ran late. And then I got back late for the Witty show. And then I got back here. And then all of a sudden I didn't have the right link. So it's been scrambled eggs here at the Chateau de Mars Hill studio. Lovely graphic provided by my wife. She made that with some kind of filter. I don't know what it was, but that's the Chateau de Marcel back there. A little snow on the rooftop there and all that. But yeah, we got a good show for you tonight. We have Mike Young. I hope. So we have Mike Young at 9:15, and we're going to talk about property taxes. I know Lucy is just glad to talk about property taxes being a theft, and especially property taxes. So she's be on board. I see her backstage. So we have a couple more minutes here before it may be just me and Lucy because we have had such snafus today, but I did it all in 2 minutes, 2 minutes to get this together. But anyway, so then we're going to have possibly Micah Beckwith at 9:40. He's got a radio show and some other stuff, and he's busier than a one-armed paper hanger right now. One-armed wallpaper hanger. That's what it is. Yeah, so that's what he is. But it's been interesting. The property tax bill got gutted, and I was listening to Aaron Freeman was at the Franklin Township GOP meeting tonight, and we listened to the school superintendent. They had him, and then we had. It's funny, you run for the chairman and these district chairs. So the chairman in Marion County gets to vote in who the 7th district person is. And they get one vote in the 6th district because Marion County is so condensed and there's 9 congressional districts. So these county chairs, they get a vote for the party, the mothership, the party people that make up the thing. 9 districts, I think 4 at large, and maybe 1, the state chairs on top of that. So they make all the big decisions. So I've met them. I've never seen them before, but they're coming out because we got this big GOP race coming up, and yours truly's in it. And I think it's labeled as the grassroots against the incumbent type of deal. So that's what we got going on here. But I'm not going to bore you with that stuff. If you're a precinct committeeman, come out and vote for me on March 1st. It happens at doors open at 8 out at the fairgrounds. The program starts around 9:30. We get to give our little speeches. This big important job, you get like 3 minutes to tell everybody out there. So, but we've gone around and talked to a lot of folks, but I see the entire cast is back there. Tiffany's she still looks like she's looking for something. So maybe everybody's running late tonight. It's maybe because it's cold, but we're going to have a good show. We're going to talk about property taxes. I mean, I listened to Aaron Freeman tonight at this meeting, and he's already sort of a cynical guy, and he is just throwing his hands up. He voted against the bill that came through because they just gutted it. So Andrew Ireland was there. He's the rep from that district, and they're actually handing this football over to the House side. So how it works is the Senate will come up with this bill, send it over to the House. The House will work on it. Then they'll send it back to the Senate because the House made a lot of changes. So I think people are ready to tar and feather some people. So maybe they'll get and Andrew got up and joked. He says, well, now we got to clean up the Senate's mess. And he's like, yeah, there's a lot of truth to that. But Mike Young was one that voted against this. And we're going to have him on barring any technical difficulties here at 9:15. So I'm going to go ahead and bring on the panel. I'm going to bring on Lucy and Brad because, Tiffany's, this is what I see at Tiffany's. Okay. We'll just see Tiffany when we see her. So hopefully she's not, I come in and start putting her makeup on and everything. That's for the later in the show. We do makeup tips. But Lucy, how are you this evening?
Well, I've been busy today, John, fighting the political machine that exists in Washington County, Indiana. So if anybody wants, some real entertainment, come to Facebook groups that are Salem, Indiana, Talk and Post Anything, Washington County, Indiana. There's a lot going down here. And in fact, I just found out because somebody did the fact-checking research that the attorney for the county, I don't know if she just misspoke or she's spreading misinformation, but last week, the former chair of the Libertarian Party in Washington County, who also ran for governor but didn't get our nomination last year, she talked 2 weeks ago and said, hey, we've got an illegal planning commission board here. The Indiana state law says there are 5 people that can be put onto that committee, nominated and appointed that are citizens, but no more than 3 of them can come from the same political party. So my friend Rhonda Green pointed out last week, 2 weeks ago at the last meeting, hey, we got an illegal board here because we got 5 people that are all Republicans. So in today's meeting, which I recorded and put on my wall and in various, Salem and Washington County groups, the attorney wanted to correct some misinformation. So she told me that one member was a Democrat, male, another female member was a Democrat, and that a third person who had recently left the she left the Planning Commission for other reasons, which, we could discuss later. But the third person had voted third party. Well, we got the receipts and just checked the voting records, and every single one of them is a Republican.
Ruh-roh, George. So there's going to be some movement, huh?
Is she lying or is she not lying? Is she, she accused us of spreading misinformation and she was going to correct us. And turns out.
I'll tell you, Brad, I would not want to go against Lucy, would you? And look, you got your fan club here. No. You got your fan club here. Slick Woody. He just came off his show, Scorching Earth. He just was scorching earth, exposing. I think we're more like
he says like he has 10 minutes left. Like he knows that he has like a curfew. It just cracks me up. It reminds me of just a band playing up right till the last minute. It's going to say exactly as much as he can.
He did. Oh, he's using and he started out so hot. I mean, he's like, well, I gotta pace myself, and he gets going. I mean, it's fun to watch, but man, he'd dig up some stuff. I mean, he's like, I think our shows are more like research shows anymore. We're like digging up these things and everything. I hope it's okay.
Like we don't like sharing bullshit. We'd like to share what's true.
Yeah. No, I think I think people are looking for that. And I think that I know that you're obviously not a Trump fan, Brad, but at least a lot of people are looking for truth now. I don't know where that truth is or what that truth is, but
I wanted to talk about how adorable I think it is that Fox News is upset with Hanks and Bill Burr, 2 of like my favorite people.
Yeah.
I never thought people would be mad at Tom Hanks really. But it was for the SNL skit.
Yeah, he was just being Redneck Randy, wasn't he, or something? I mean, his name.
And that's based off of he did like a whole sketch like a few years back where he was that character. And it is one of the funniest sketches that they've ever done. Like everybody gets along. It is.
We can't take a joke. I swear people can't take a joke anymore. Hey, look, there's Tiffany. Hey, Tiffany. You're good. Thanks for joining us. Your timing's perfect because we were just getting to you, Brad. Hey, Brad, I noticed you posted the Fish concerts.
Oh yeah. I'm like, yep.
Which one are we going to? Chicago or Columbus or yes?
We should road trip over to Columbus. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think so too. I think we got a place to stay. Joyce Marshall got family over there. So.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
John, that's
Watch
gonna
out.
be such
I'm gonna get in that mosh pit. I'm gonna crack some skulls down in there. It's gonna be ugly. Somebody's going to the hospital. Maybe the old man.
Oh, I'm excited.
Yeah. Tiffany can go be our bodyguard.
Wait, it's on a Wednesday night. Okay, so yeah.
Wednesday night. Okay, good. We're good on that. We could do live from the Fish mosh pit. Is there a mosh pit at the Fish concert, or is it?
No, it's just like a floor where everybody kind of dances
Just
and
stands and dance. Okay,
yeah,
I thought we were
people
gonna get
bounce
muddy
into
or
each other a little bit, but
something like
there's
that.
no
It's
like.
good. Yeah. Are you eating Thin Mints again? Oh yeah, I forgot you have like 75 boxes of them. Okay, we got a great show here. We got a great show. Hey, let's start it. We're gonna talk about property taxes. We got Mike Young coming on here in a minute. Hopefully he can get the tech. Oh, Brad, by the way, I see you hydrating there. You're getting ready for the Fish concert, right? Hydrating right now.
Oh no, I had food poisoning on Saturday.
Ooh, are you sure it was that? There's some nasty stuff going around.
I want to say it was that because I've never thrown up like that in my whole life. Everything needed to come out immediately. I ended up in my bathroom.
Maybe you got some bad fish.
But I'm.
Oh wow, yeah, that was good. I hate
I'm
it.
counting on for the dad jokes. But
Yeah,
you know what, Brad? When it's food poisoning, you know. I mean, it's obvious. Your body tells you.
Well, and so like my stomach still hurts from like the dry heaving because it was just.
I'm sorry.
The most exercise you've gotten in weeks. Is that what you're trying to say?
I would never exercise my body like that, John.
Yeah, I was like,
that was convulsing almost.
All right, so Brad, how much property taxes do you pay? Are you own a home there? I know you're a Democrat. A lot of people don't own homes, But
I rent, but it apparently affects the
yes,
rent.
it's going to affect you.
My thing with property taxes is the amount of government workers that I know, and I know that this is going to be weird, but it's like the school board members that I know, most of them were totally against the bill as it was written, and they like it a lot better now. And so I don't know if that's how it is where you guys are at now. Lucy or Tiffany, if you guys have heard from your school board members, but they wanted to go down to a few, I'm not speaking for the board or anything like that, but just in conversations with a few of them, yeah, they wanted to become more vocal. So
yeah, so that's cool. We got Mike backstage, so let's go ahead and bring him on here. I think he's ready. This is like, hey, Mike Young, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm not ready.
He's not ready. You're always ready. I'm going to tell you before this guy gets started here, he's always ready. So they were giving Micah Beckwith a hard time. The Shelley Yoder, one of my favorite senators from Bloomington. I mean, she's so in tune with everything. No, she's giving Micah a hard time because his team was tweeting out something while they were talking about it, trying to inform people, trying to tell people what's going on in the thing. Oh, Mike Young dialed him up a headache down there. He got up there and he was finger pointing and yelling at him, and he keeps him straight down there. And that's one thing I like about Mike. The first time I met him, I go down to the State House, probably the first time I went there, and he's out there. He's got these two other senators there, and apparently they weren't seeing things his way. And he was explaining it to him. I'm thinking, man, that guy's like, he knows what's up. So Mike, how you doing tonight?
Okay. I just love protecting free speech. That's why I was animated the other night.
Yeah, it was. You get excited sometimes, but you were really excited that one. But so I just came from a meeting with Aaron Freeman, and he seems just about as thrilled with this property tax bill than you did because he voted against it. But there's several people
there were
that did.
3 Republicans from Marion County who voted against it. Senator Carrasco, Senator Freeman, and myself.
Yeah, and then I guess. Who's the guy up north there? I can't think of his name. There's
a lot of people up north. You mean in Marion County?
Marion County, yeah.
Senator
Kyle Busch. Didn't he win the Daytona 500? Kyle Busch? Oh no,
Kyle Walker.
Kyle Walker. Okay, I just got to get him straight. He voted for it, so I know he was.
Busch in Fort Wayne. Kyle Walker's in the northern part of.
So we could merge them and have Kyle Busch. That's how we do it.
In Hamilton.
Yep. So walk us for anybody that doesn't know what this bill did. Now you added 4 amendments to it, but
no, I didn't get them added.
You didn't get them added. You tried. Okay. So walk us through what it started out as, what you tried to do, and what it ended up, and it went to the House.
Well, Governor Braun's bill actually gave us a lot of our property tax money back by going back to the 1922 reset before we had this explosion in values of homes, the assessed valuation. And that's really where local government got us for a bunch of money is our values went up, even though we haven't done anything to the property. And all of a sudden, local government was getting all this money, and they were spending it. And Governor Braun wanted to take us back to the period before that happened, where our homes weren't valued above what really I think the market should have had it at. And our people in the committee hearing took the governor's language out and put their own language in. And all they did was they slowed down the ability of local government to get more money from us. Didn't protect us any, just slowed it down a little bit. And so I had 4 amendments when I campaigned. I tell you, there were 3 issues when I talked to, and I talked to over 5,000 people on the phone. I had neuropathy in my feet, so I couldn't knock on doors like I used to, but I talked to over 5,000 people on the phone in the primary and general election. There were 3 issues they were concerned about. 1 was property tax, 2 was the gas tax, and 3 was immigration. And I told them on all 3 of those, I would do everything within my power to try to help people on those 3 issues. So I introduced 4 bills on property taxes. They never got heard, so I did them as amendments. I offered 2 bills on the gas tax. They haven't got heard. And I offered 2 bills on the gas tax. They haven't got heard. There'll be time during the session I can still do amendments on those. But on the property tax, the first bill, and I think was the most important, was that there would be no property tax for senior citizens, 65 and older, if you owned and lived in the property. There's only there are 3 states in the nation that have some property tax relief for senior citizens. One is a complete exemption for senior citizens. You pay 0, and that's Alabama. And then Nebraska and Virginia have a partial exemption based on people's income. We have enough money to give, starting in 2029, I think, senior citizens without going into the budget really, and giving them their property for free. Now here are people that worked their entire lives, paid their taxes. They may have not even had kids in school, but paid their taxes for kids to go to school and not have to pay for anything, paid their dues, were good citizens, and now they've retired and they're either on a fixed income or a lower income. And if they were like me here in Marion County, where we had a 48% tax increase on our property, they were in a position where they couldn't own their home anymore. And the taxes were going to, put them in trouble. And I figured if anybody deserves some tax relief, it should be the people who built our country, worked hard, did the right things, and now they're retired. Why shouldn't we allow them to get an extra $2,000 or so in their pocket when they retire?
Yeah, they got a standing ovation.
I mean, you make it sound so simple. So yay.
It is simple, but it wasn't our leadership's idea, and therefore they were opposed to it, and our members of our caucus voted against it. There were 7 or 8 other Republicans and a bunch of Democrats who voted for it. They had the courage to do so. The second amendment that I had was simply said, hey, if we know inflation's bad and it hurts people, it not only hurts people, it hurts government too. But why should government reap the rewards of inflation and get more money from us, which only hurts us? And we already have to deal with that issue. 9% inflation, whether it's your property taxes went up an extra 9%, you had to pay extra 9% on your gasoline tax and everything else, your food and everything else. Who was getting killed more? The people who are just ordinary citizens working hard for a living, trying to get by and taking care of their kids, or government? Well, okay, we were both in the same position. But why does government get to reap the rewards of inflation and we have to pay the penalty? And so I said, listen, government shouldn't get any more than what a government should be entitled to. And according to the Fed and some other economic people that I listened to, and they're pretty bright, that said the normal rate of inflation is around 2%. And that is a growing economy. It's a growing economy. So I think, okay, we'll give them 2% and we'll give them a little extra just for inflation if it occurs, and they can go up to 3%. That way they can still get some money back and still grow local government. They won't get as much. But guess what? We won't get killed. As citizens, we won't get killed. I mean, we have to live too. And there are people worse off than me. I could pay my increase in my property tax. There are a lot of other people that couldn't do that. And we have to be cognizant that people are doing the right thing, trying to get by, doing everything right. They shouldn't be penalized. At least the government shouldn't get rewarded for it. On our gas tax, well, let me just finish on the property tax. The other thing that I've noticed, and I've talked to some realtors and the Indiana Realtors Association, I said, what are these corporation people that coming in and buying up our houses, raising up the price? I said, that's just a business. In Indiana, they are taxed differently than me or you who live in our home. We're at 1% cap. A business who rents a home is at a 2% cap. Why do they get to come in and artificially raise the price of the value of our homes? We have to pay for the tax on it. And I haven't realized any gain whatsoever. My house went from just about 3 or 4 years ago, went from 115,000, that's with the improvements and the land, to 250,000. I haven't done anything to my house. But guess what? I get to pay more property tax on it. Why do they get to come in as an investor-owned property and raise up these values? And it applies to my house. So I had an amendment that said, listen, that's fine for business. If a business got a house and they're renting it, let you guys use that to determine the value of that rental property, but don't use it to decide the value of my house. I live in it. I'm not renting it out for $1,500 or $2,000 a month. And the other amendment I had was simply, what was it? I don't know. It was last week, but there were three.
you
there were
only
four.
read 3 bills the other day.
There
I
were four.
remember
Yeah,
you
there was
saying that.
four. I had four. Oh, I know. I had the fourth one. It's based on California, and it makes sense to me. When you buy your house, that's the value you ought to use to determine your taxes until either you make an improvement on the property or you sell it. Because you don't realize any gain from that house until it's sold. So I can live in it for 30 years. I've realized no gains. I may even die. And I never received one value from the increase of that property. And I get to pay taxes on something I've never got the chance to, enjoy. So I said, well, you buy a house for $100,000. That's the taxable rate until you either improve your property or you sell it. And whoever buys it, if they end up buying it for $150,000, then they pay taxes on $150,000. That's the true market value. It's whatever it's sold for. And so that would protect us as well. And so the 4 amendments, I only had 7 or 8 Republicans with courage to do that. And out of the 10 Democrats, I think it varied somewhere between 7 and 9 each time. So
which one of those was the closest? Which
You're talking about the property tax. When people see little old ladies who lose their homes in Indianapolis, it's because 2 Chicks and a Hammer have come in and they improved something on their street, and all of a sudden, Miss Mabel's house is worth $500,000, and she hasn't done anything since she moved in, 50 years ago, and that really hurts people. And then the other part of that is when people inherit homes, and if it's the family home, you inherit it. People don't have good enough credit; they can't take a HELOC on it. And then they do end up selling them for pennies on the dollar to a lot of these corporations because they're not in the financial position to take care of their homes. So I applaud you for standing up for folks like that, because there are a lot of people who have homes and a lot of old people, fixed incomes, especially this time of year when they're trying.
And poor people too. Poor people too.
Yeah, poor people. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
they
had
get
a
hurt on that.
yeah, we had
Well,
a
I'll tell you
lady.
what, I gave my word during the campaign. I said, if you do, and I heard what you had to say, I will do everything within my power to do as much as I can to get this done. And I've done what I can. And we'll see what happens in the rest of the session. Maybe it'll be heard. But I kept my word. And the most important thing is when you're in our business, you got to keep your word. I
Yeah,
kept my word.
and that's how you've been in there for so long.
So
So
what
what
does
do
that
you,
look
what do
like?
you anticipate the house? What do you anticipate the house doing? Are they going to just kick the football back, or are they going to try to
I'll
fix
tell you
something?
what, I hope they do the right thing. I said it to Mike the other day. This was when we actually voted on Senate Bill 1 and I voted against it. I said, I am so ashamed of this body. This is the first time I can remember that we had a governor offer his marquee plan
And
that
not
he
take it.
came in and run on, and we didn't even give it a debate or a vote. No one knows
What
where we stand. I said, maybe it would lose, but you never even gave us the opportunity to debate it and talk about it and vote on it. And I said, that's the slap in the face to the governor.
Yeah.
I
So
hope the House at least puts it up for a vote and let's see where it goes.
yep. So Brad, you got a question?
veto it? Yeah, I'm wondering if do you think Governor Braun would veto it going back to his office as is? Like, say the House
I
kind
hope
of messes with
I
it.
hope so, because he wants to help Hoosiers as well. And there's a lot of us. You have to remember when you're in a caucus, leadership has a lot of control over people. You don't get the committee you want. You may not get your bills heard. You won't be a chairman. And I know because I had people come up and said, "Hey, you were right." They just didn't have the courage to vote what was right. They knew what was right, but they didn't do it. And that's what disappoints me is we don't have leadership in our caucus that are for the people of the state of Indiana. I'm
Yeah.
disappointed.
So
I hope
Lucy, you
that
got. I
gets
was
it
going to
turned
say,
around.
yeah. I mean, Lucy's being very good, Senator Young, with this because she's wanting to jump in here. So go ahead, Lucy. Now's your
Hey,
turn.
I appreciate that,
Oh,
Senator
she's not
Young.
jumping up on me.
Maybe,
Senator
I don't
Young,
know.
you have obviously done a fantastic job. You know, as a libertarian to a Republican, I am so pleased to hear the things that you're doing. It's all moving in the direction of liberty, doing better for people. Even all the way to acknowledging that taxation is theft and eliminating property taxes entirely so that little old ladies never have to worry about losing their homes to the government. No, but you know, if we're on the train, we're moving in the right direction. I know it can't happen overnight. You may not know this, but I used to run the largest real estate investing association in Indiana called Cyrea. I did that for almost a decade and invested in a lot of properties. And one of the main problems that I've seen over and over again are big corporations like BlackRock, like State Street, like Vanguard
Yeah,
coming in and rolling up the single families. And they're doing the exact same model that Walmart would always do to come in and sell below. And grab market share. And then, as soon as there was no competition, of course, Walmart would raise the prices. They actually got kicked out of Germany for this. And this is the
Hmm.
same thing that BlackRock is doing. So I'm not one that thinks that we need legislation, but everything is so contorted that perhaps you might consider making big corporations that are on the stock market not eligible to buy single family homes because the distortion in the market comes from people that are
Yeah,
getting
that's
their money from the Fed at 0.5% when it takes me as an investor 8.5 to 9.5% to get money for
Yeah.
that house.
I
So
got
that's one
that.
thing.
Lucy, I'll tell you what. I really believe in the free market, and I
I
hate
do
to
too.
have government tell somebody they can't sell or buy something. But what we can do is say you can't use what you're doing for an investor-owned property to determine the value of my property. And if we can do that, that protects us all. That protects us.
I'm gonna give you the other side of that, which is
Okay.
the investor side, because the distortion in the market is that the playing field is not level. You know, these big corporations, they're getting money for 0.5% from the Fed. People like me are getting it for 8%. So there's a distortion there, and they have an ability to do something that we can't do. You know, but the real thing is if I'm an investor or even if I'm a homeowner, I want to see my property value increase. Obviously, I don't want the property taxes to increase, but for a middle class person, about the only hope that you have other than winning the lottery of getting a check for 20 or 50 or $100,000 is to buy smart in a good neighborhood and maintain that home. And then when that home, becomes not appropriate for your family, you need something bigger, then to be able to go to another home and get paid. I mean, there are a couple of other programs like, um, Teacher Next Door and things that are actually special that the government will do to help you with that. But let's leave that aside because what I really want to talk about is the property tax issue that you mentioned of the percentages. So I'm a homeowner, so I get a 1% tax. Brad is a renter. So the taxes on his property being rated as an investment property is actually 2%. So we're hurting renters very, very specifically in this state because we have the idea, they're greedy landlords and we don't want them to make money off of people. The state came and slid in and said, you know what, we're going to take 2% on that rental property. Well, just like anything else, that's just a cost of goods sold, right? So that 2% to get added into the rent. So we are now punishing renters. We think we're punishing landlords, but we're not. We're punishing renters and we're preventing them from being able to save those dollars that they're having to pay in property taxes. They're not getting double the benefits. The investors are
No.
not getting double the benefits. The state is taking twice the money out of the pockets of the people who can afford it the least and preventing them from being able to move into homeownership. When I lived in Fishers, and I had multiple properties in Fishers, I had a property that was, I think it was 4,900 a year in property taxes. I decided, and I had rented it out for a decade. I decided to move into it. We moved my family into it. My property taxes went down to 3,200. That extra $1,700 a year that I charged to my renters for 10 years, that was the down payment on their home. We cheated the renters. We are currently cheating the renters out of the ability to meet their
Yeah.
bills, save money, and be able to move up into property ownership.
Well, I had another bill, Lucy. You're right on that. A few years back, 20, 13, 14, and 15. Then I introduced it again last year too. Said, hey, I can lower the state sales tax from 7 down to 5.5. I can give everybody's property, everybody owns a property, no matter your age, no property tax. I can fix the roads and give them $1 billion a year. I can get rid of the personal property tax for business, and I can more than double the 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 deduction that renters get, move it from 3 to 6,000, and that was by doing a sales tax on service. However, what I didn't realize, and I couldn't figure out when they drafted the bill for me, and we got the fiscal note back, there wasn't enough money to do that. I said, "How can that be?" I said, "Between 2015 and last year, which is 2024, I said, sales taxes are increasing." They said, "Yeah, we don't know. We'll check into it." And then they came back and they were going, "Oh, we should have thought about that." 2017, what did we do? I voted against this. We
Gas
raised the
tax.
gas tax 10 cents a gallon, put on
Yep.
an extra penny every year after, and
Yep.
add a inflation thing to it. It took all the money that was going to be available to do this. In Indiana, it wouldn't have made any difference if you're 65 or not. You wouldn't have to rent your house anymore from the government. It
Yeah.
would have been completely free. But they took that
Stop
money
that.
and they did it on the gas tax. And then last 2023, it was supposed to the penny increase was supposed to end in 2024. They extended it to 2027, and they're still doing the inflation. But we didn't have the
Ah,
money to do it, and so a plan it had to. But the sales tax would have dropped from 7 down to 5.5%. But we would have made it across the board with sales tax on services.
Is that
But
similar to JD Prescott? He had a similar.
it's my bill.
Oh, okay, he just was trying to
It's
carry it
over,
forward.
yeah.
Okay, I thought it
I
sounded
didn't give it to
familiar.
us because we didn't have the money. He doesn't have the money either. It's just not there. And so he just took my bill, which is a good idea, but
Yeah,
it's not going to get through. There's just no money to do it.
yeah. That's. I mean, it's.
Are
It's
there any
funny.
thoughts on legalizing marijuana to help this? Just
Well, I don't know if
throwing
it
that out
helps.
there.
Let me ask you a question, Brad. I got $1. I have to spend 50 cents of it on food. I got to spend another 30% on my house and 10% on taxes. So I got 10% left over. I do other things. All I do with that extra 10% is I got to decide if I want to spend it to go to a football or basketball game, or go to a movie, or go out to dinner, or I buy some marijuana. All we do is move the dollar around, and that we could spend on this one and spend it on something else. I don't know how much we gain on that, but I do know this.
Aren't there jobs though?
I'm the author of the CBD oil bill, which we did it based on medical facts that we had, that CBD oil has a lot of benefits to people who epilepsy, for example, some pain and things like that. THC has more value on other things. And I introduced a bill this year, Brad, that said that we ought to do THC for medical purposes. No different than
That's
the
a good
other drugs
start.
we have.
Good start.
And we ought to do that, because my brother, who died from glioblastoma, you don't know how many times my heart broke hearing him cry because of the pain that he had from glioblastoma. He would just cry. And we know this is true, that marijuana will relieve cancer patients of not only of nausea, but also pain. You know,
And
my brother,
stimulate appetite.
yeah. And my brother cried when I told him that. And I talked to the Prosecutors Association. I said, here's where my brother is. And I'm chairman of the criminal law committee. I can't break the law. I'm the one that's enforcing the law. But I told my brother, if you get some marijuana, and now they got this in prescription form. I didn't know this at the time. I later learned that the feds have 3 prescriptions for marijuana for cancer patients. One, you can smoke it. The other, you can eat it. And I think another form is a gummy kind of stuff or whatever. But I told him, nobody's going to do anything to you. You know what? He wouldn't break the law either. He wouldn't take it, even though he was in pain. But there are some benefits from THC for medical purposes. That's why I introduced the bill. Get it by a prescription, do it the right way, and let's give people more alternatives and take it instead of taking opioids.
So if as a state we are not ready for medical marijuana, we're not ready for recreational marijuana, how is Delta 9 legal?
But like a lot of people want it.
I think we can pass it in the House. I think the governor will sign the bill. It's the Republican leadership in the Senate that won't do it.
No. But my question is, how is Delta 9 legal? How is who said that
Well,
was okay? How did we?
Here's how it's legal. There is a process. They take it from the hemp oil, CBD oil, from what was legal in the 2014 Farm Bill. You have to have a crop that's no more than 0.3% THC levels in the stalk of the plant. Except that these guys are pretty smart. They figured out a way to boil it down to make it, let's say, more effective. And they can boil it down and put it in these gummies, and you'll actually get a high from it.
I have been on this issue because
we said it could be legal. It's legal because it comes from the plant that is legal.
So
I gotta hop in on this, Tiffany, because this is actually my day job. I'm actually
yeah, that is.
Yeah,
but my question, Lucy, but my question is that if with what is legal in Indiana, if it can produce a high, if it can help with pain, then why isn't that enough for people who want to see recreational and medical marijuana legalized here? Why isn't that?
I don't know if it'd be recreational, because if you did it for recreational stuff, you'll actually get a bigger high. This will just get you a little high. It's like maybe getting a little buzz after 1 or 2 drinks. THC, it's like having 6 or 7 drinks. But it will take care of some of the pain. It's only legal because we haven't outlawed it. And I understand the DEA. Right now it's on a Schedule 1. and DEA is going through a process to get it off Schedule 1. And if they do, we won't have any. I'm talking about the regular marijuana, but the thing is, right now we don't have a process to do it in the state of Indiana, and that's what my bill was actually going to do. Is when the DEA moves it down or the Congress makes it legal, we'd have a way to go and do it the legal way. The other thing is we have to think about is that the feds still have this provision. You can't regular banks, and you can't do credit cards. You can't do any financing because it's illegal through the banks. But I found a way around that. State banks who are not federally chartered, they can. So in my bill, I opened up that way for them to do it. And but listen, I don't want to get people high. I just don't want to do that. I don't know if it's the right thing to do. I don't feel comfortable. But have it as medical marijuana, I don't have a problem with doing that. I just don't have a problem with doing that because there are people in bad situations. And I'm not going to tell somebody that they're dying from cancer that you can't try this or use this drug. That makes no sense to me.
Yeah. So Lucy, fill us in here a little bit. Tiffany, you got to wait.
Yeah, I actually, my day job, I work for a company called Botanical Enlightenment out of Washington State, and we have a range of CBD products. We keep the THC low so that it's, conforms to most of the state laws. But, my boss who's in Washington State, since he's there, he can, get all kinds of things for his personal use that we don't do through the company. What I would like to see is compassion and let's talk about two things, compassion and brain chemistry. Compassion for the economic side of marijuana, which is it's a plant. It should be decriminalized. The government should have zero say in it. The government doesn't come into my garden and take away my tomatoes because they have lycopene, which also has, brain and neurotropic effects.
Well, Lucy, let me just stop you real quick. The government can stop you from growing tomatoes right now. That's the law.
Well,
in the 1940s, there was a case where a farmer was growing some hay for his stock, and the government came and said, "You can't do that." He says, "Yeah, I can do it. I'm not hurting interstate commerce." They said, "Yeah, you are, because you're not buying the hay from somebody on the market." And so what the Constitution says, according to the Supreme Court, that interferes with interstate commerce, and they have the right to regulate it. They have the right to tell you you can't grow a tomato plant in your yard.
That is super interesting because I'm
That's
very high on
tyranny,
the
what
freedom
that
index.
They're coming for you, chicken owners.
Yeah, watch out.
Well, I'll tell you what,
tyranny-
you
when
can be a rich
tyranny
person
becomes
if you
law.
got a couple of hens right now.
Oh, I'm getting an egg a day. I'm getting an egg a day.
You know,
Wait, but Senator
we're
Young
gonna-
I'm sorry, but doesn't the no, I'm sorry, Lucy. You keep going. Sorry.
Oh, well, no, I was going to point out, I can go into my woods and I can get lion's mane mushroom, which has neurotropic effects. It's specifically, and I put this in our private chat, Senator Young, that lion's mane mushroom regrows nerves. It has nerve growth factor, NGF. It's one of 2 or 3 things on the planet that will actually regrow your nerves. And it's helped my husband's neuropathy. So I can,
Hey, I was going to ask you that. I've got neuropathy in both feet from, during COVID, Hokum wouldn't let us have, non-vital surgeries. I had a pinched nerve in my back.
Oh my
and I
goodness.
couldn't get any surgery for it. And for a year, I'm in severe pain. And by the time he opened it back up where I could get an operation, my leg was damaged so long, and the foot is the furthest point away from the injury. It never healed, and I had neuropathy. And then I had a knee replaced on my left knee. And the doctor, and he's a good doctor, nothing against him at all. He must have nicked a nerve, and half of my foot, I have neuropathy. If there's a way to get around that, I'll look into it, because I'll tell you, being out the state house on those limestone floors, my feet, it feels like I'm walking on a bed of hot coals with broken glass.
Poor baby.
Yeah.
Well, I will put a link into the regular show. I'll hop over into, where I keep the regular show open so everybody can see this link. But there was an NIH study done with rats, and they purposefully paralyzed the rats' back legs. They gave them an aqueous extract, tea. So you literally just water, hot water, and they extracted and concentrated the mushroom extract. And the rats actually regrew nerves and regained the use of their legs. And so that, this is not just in the natural health world, which I'm a big part of. Senator Young, I have 10 kids and most of them born at home. All 3 of my grandkids were born at home in the water. I mean, I'm all about the natural. And so there are things out there that can do. I mean, I'm going to send you a couple of things here in the private group, but it is possible. It's helped my husband. He went from having no feeling at all in his feet to now actually having feeling in his feet. And balance is such a big issue when you have neuropathy.
Oh,
Yeah. So I can see the headlines now. Libertarian takes out long-time senator at drug deal down at the State House. I just see it, caught with
well,
lion's ears or something like that, whatever she was saying. It's not going to be pretty. And Lucy,
Brad,
is this
go ahead.
is that
Brad, you
the
had
link
something. Well,
right there, Lucy?
Yeah, but
I'm
Brad
sorry,
had
go ahead.
something to ask, I think.
Yeah.
Brad, did you?
Oh, it was I guess when you see how much money the other states have been making, I know that you had said that it is like just moving $1 here instead of there, but I don't know, because people are using new income sometimes too if they are working in that industry and they are in that field. So,
Yeah.
I mean, and even like regulation wise, like I feel like there will be jobs making sure that it
Well,
is
all
regulated
my point is that
within
most
a
people only
certain.
have so many dollars. So if I have to buy, not go to the movie here to buy some marijuana, I don't know how that gets us more money.
Well, but they're
I'm not
going to
saying
Ohio.
they're
People
great
save money too. People have savings still, right? Sometimes.
I used to
yeah.
sell. I used to sell Cialis. People always have money for Cialis.
Well, and poor people, I remember when we had the blizzard of 78, and I was young enough, I was going to walk up to the store to get my neighbor some food while I went up to the Safeway at 34th and Moeller Road. I said, I'll go up and get you something. Now, these are poor people that live next door to me. They said, yeah, they wanted some Cokes, cigarettes, and some other stuff. I guess no matter where you are on the economic scale, if there's things you want, you always have money, you can buy it. My point is they didn't buy milk. They didn't buy bread. They wanted beer,
Cigarettes.
smokes, and stuff like that.
Another way to solve that problem, Senator Young, is to let people grow it in their backyard. Then they wouldn't have to give the government taxes or a merchant. They could literally have their medicine for free. I mean,
Yeah,
I
but
go out and I gather dandelions for my liver.
that interferes with commerce, and the Supreme Court said we could have the right.
Yeah, I was
to
going to
stop
say, if I can't grow
Try
hay,
it.
I don't think they're going to let me grow that.
Senator Young,
Just a
seriously,
different kind of
wrote
hay.
this down.
Chickens
Was
next.
this a
I'm
Supreme Court
sorry,
decision or was this
everybody was talking
legislation?
at once, I couldn't hear.
Oh, sorry.
Lucy.
Supreme Court decision or legislation in the 1940s, because it sounds like that could be broadly applied literally to anything that might be sold someplace else.
Exactly. No, exactly. You're right.
Ding, ding, ding,
When I
ding.
was in law school and I heard that, I was shocked. My government can do that to me? Yes,
It's
they
tyranny.
can. Yeah,
The
it is
government-
tyranny.
The government
It is
has a
tyranny.
monopoly on force
You
and
know, it
qualified
feels like the
immunity. They can
government's
murder
kind of
you.
changing, though. I feel like the
They're what?
government's kind of changing. Maybe we can get this stuff back.
Yeah.
Well,
The
you
Doge.
may be right. Well, I'll tell you what, Bobby Kennedy, Lucy, I think I think he's scared of what the pharmaceutical people put in to poison us. I think he's okay with natural stuff. I think he's
well, he
libertarian
really
when
is.
it comes to that.
But I mean, obviously, Bobby Kennedy is absolutely brilliant.
He's all about heroin for reading, like that was
For
the most
reading?
surprising, shocking thing that I'd ever heard was
How does
that
that help for reading?
reading.
Heroin.
No, like reading comprehension. Like apparently it helped him concentrate enough to
really?
read better.
I
And
think
that
Brad,
was
are you
according to
being
him.
sarcastic?
No, it is according to him.
He was
swear to God.
addicted for 14 years to heroin. 14
Well,
years.
that's what I did. I did hear
the
that.
Encyclopedia Britannica. We can't be mad at him. So
Can we point out that the man's father and uncle were murdered? That's a lot of trauma. People deal with trauma sometimes with drugs. I don't, but
We'll talk about
I
it.
got you.
Let's talk about. I'm going to switch gears here because I've heard. We got the Doge going, so now I'm hearing about Indiana Doge, and I want to do that. I Doge. What's that?
I called for that the other day at the mic.
Thank you.
We have two bills going through. One is Senator Toms has a bill I'm on with him that he wants to get an outside audit of every agency in state government to see what we're doing with the money, how it's being spent. Is it the right thing? Is it efficient? should we be
Do
doing
we
it?
like it? Do we
Senator
not?
Baldwin's got another thing. I'm sorry.
Well, but it's
Okay.
also like, do we like it or do we not? Like, it's kind of subjective.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
And Senator
Senator
Baldwin has another bill. What now? I'm sorry,
I was
Tiffany.
just telling you that Brad's a librarian, so he has
Gonna
his
be-
own concerns about the proper
Yeah.
spending of government money. I just wanted to give you a little insight.
Yeah.
I
I'm
am.
glad he's with
proper
the
spending,
He has
of, you know.
That's nice. I mean, but Senator Baldwin's also got one. It's more like it's similar to what they're doing in Doge. Listen, government here is supposed to be here to help us, not hurt us. And if we can go in and find out if there's inefficiencies that we can correct, which gives us more money, either we can give back to people or use to help more people, I think that's good. But we don't know. We have no idea. I don't even know how efficient our schools are. I mean, they get 52% of our tax dollars, and I don't know. Here's what I don't know. Since 2013, we've given them more money, and as we give them more money, our that way, but our scores are going like this, proficiency rates. And I don't understand the correlation. We give more money, and I know teachers do a good job, but I can't figure out in 2013, we started at this level for financing, and now we're way up here. And then we started proficiency rates in 2013. It was 82% on English language and 80% on math. And now we're down to 40% on English and 38% on math. I don't know what's going on, and nobody else can tell me.
We got really nice football stadiums. That's
But
what we have.
I have
honestly,
a theory.
too, this is a
I have a
generation
theory.
that is being raised by like iPads.
Well,
And
that's
I'm
Right.
not
true.
saying that in any kind of a judgmental way. It's just look
Well,
around
Brad, you
when you
got a
even
good
watch
point there. I
kids'
had a
kids.
professor in
They have,
psychology.
you know, they have screens in their faces all day without
Yeah.
their consent.
Well,
Really,
listen.
sometimes
No,
I
you're
feel like
right. I had a
even at
professor when I was
restaurants
in
and stuff like
college who
that,
said
everything's
that
on a screen.
kids cannot learn. The human mind is not set up to learn from computers. Now, I can tell you this: even though those proficiency rates fell from 82 down to 42 or 40, whatever the number was, you know the worst proficiency rates we have? Virtual schools. Virtual schools at 6%.
Oh,
6%. Do you know that the kids did so poorly on their test during COVID that we didn't
COVID
count the
was
scores? You know what they were doing? They were doing virtual learning at home. Computers, I don't think it helps kids to learn. I think that's what Brad's saying.
you
I just
remember
don't
when
think it
well.
Amy
Oh my God! Sorry.
Rettenauer was running for governor? That was one of the things that she and Paige Miller talked about, like no screens before third grade or fifth
Yeah.
grade, something like
I think
that.
it's fifth grade or
And
something
to
like
your
that.
point, Senator Young, my daughter went to Montessori school through eighth grade, and it's very, old school, very
Montessori is
basic,
awesome.
very fundamental. But there's something about the way that we teach children to learn to read, to do phonics, to do math, and to understand the world that we don't need to change. There are the tried and true methods. We don't really need to change them.
Well, there's another thing to realize too. At the same time this was taking place, their scores was dropping off, and this is why I'm not blaming the teachers. We started sending our kids to school earlier. I did some research on this, and there was a guy in Connecticut that was an expert on this, and I was asking him, does this help us if kids go to school earlier? He asked me a question. He says, which nations have the highest literacy rates for kids? And I told him what I thought. And then he said, which ones have the lowest? And I said, like Russia and the Slavic nations and Africa. And
United States.
he said, it's completely the reverse. Russia and the Slavic nations, they have the higher literacy rate for their kids. You know why? They don't send them to school till they're 7 when their brain is able to learn. We send our kids earlier and our scores are dropping. You know why? Their brain's not ready to learn, and it causes emotional problems because they can't do it yet. And so whether that's true or not, it seems to make sense because it coincided with dropping scores. And so I'm just wondering, maybe we're doing it the wrong way, kind of like Tiffany, what you just said.
Mhm.
Let's do the tried and true method
Oh, yeah,
and
very much so. Very much
send
so.
them when they're ready to learn.
And then the other thing I think is interesting, Senator Young, is that from time to time they will change like curriculum and teaching styles for like
Oh, I know.
how people learn to read. I'm like, or math. Remember, like new math.
Oh, I know.
Like,
Yeah.
what are we doing to kids?
Well, part of it's our problem. We have so many bills that's changed rules for schools to do this and do that. I don't know. I'm tired of voting for all the changes because the more they change, the worse we do.
Yes.
And quite frankly, I'm not an expert. I don't know what works. I know what we're doing is not working.
To your points, and then your parents can't even help you because they're like, "What the hell is this?" You know.
Well, I couldn't do that. What's that math called? What was the math called that everybody?
Common Core.
Yeah, nobody could do it. I don't even know how the teachers did it. I couldn't do it. I didn't even. I watched a video one time. I didn't know what in the heck they were talking about.
I compared Common Core to New Coke. Remember when they did New Coke in the 80s? Yeah, it was like Common Core. It didn't work. I mean, it just didn't work. Go back to the
That's
classic.
so unfair to students where if you figure like at one point, remember there was so much homework that children were spending hours and hours and hours doing homework. They couldn't do extracurricular activities. I just think that some of education needs to be very traditional.
Yeah, and some of it's you gotta have incentives in it too. I wasn't a great student. I was a lot better in college and law school, but I wasn't very good in elementary school until I got to the place where I had to play on the baseball team. And then I did everything I could to make sure I made the baseball team by keeping my grades up.
Yeah, well, I was talking the Franklin Township superintendent was at this meeting tonight, and he was talking about that stuff. And I asked, we got to ask questions, and I always ask a lot of questions. And I said, so what programs or what things has the Department of Education added where you have to add staff to take care of it that you don't think you need? And he just sort of smiled. He goes, there's a lot of it. There's a lot of stuff. And, and also with the immigration issue, they have to have a lot of bilingual teachers, not just in Spanish, it's in like all sorts of stuff. So it's challenging.
Wayne Township Schools has 79 different languages. 79.
Yeah.
How does a teacher teach that many kids?
But how do you stop the school system to even evaluate it? Like, I feel because it's constantly changing and there's a constant flow of students. So it's so hard to examine, as you go, because if you examine a generation, you can't judge one by the other because the technology is already going to be different.
Yeah. And our rules move so slowly that the next thing's already there.
And it's a hard thing to get ahead of because you really,
So I've substitute taught.
It bother me. I just rather, my opinion is, let them do what they're trained to do, and that's to teach our kids. And let's try to get out of it a little bit and quit passing all these dang rules and changing everything. I asked one time Department of Education because we did when I was there. I voted against the A+ program. That was Orr's, education deal. And so sometime in the late 1990s, I said, can you tell me how every third grade's done over the course of time and how those third graders have done each class since then? They said, we can't. I said, you can't tell me how third graders have done every third grade class compared to another third grade class is done, or one class is done from third grade to 12th. They said, no. I said, why? The test keeps changing. It's not the same thing. We can't judge them.
I'm not a fan of standardized testing. So I did catch a note from Micah. He's at a radio. He's at some other thingamajiggy. Senator Young, Micah's been busy. He's been a busy guy with all these different things. So we're probably not going to get him tonight. But you've been quite.
This has been fun.
Yeah, it's very educational. And this is the type of thing we like to do because a lot of people don't know how the sausage is being made and how it affects us.
Oh.
and you do a really good job explaining that. Tiffany, go ahead. I mean, we're not
So
done
we were
yet.
talking about sausage, and you talked about how the property tax bill was as proposed by the governor, and you gave us some insight as how it was in committee. Where is it now? What does it look like?
Well, I'll try to give you. I'll ask you a question. Why is it that all the taxpayers are upset with the bill the way it is now, and everybody in local government loves it?
Money.
There's no relief to
We
tax.
don't care, they do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
That's
over at the House.
coming out of the Senate. It's
When
on the
is
way
your-
over to the
Senator
House.
Young, what position did you play in baseball?
I used to play in right field, but I got bursitis in my elbow, and I had to move into first base because I couldn't throw it that far. And that really, actually, it made because I moved in, I was a pretty good player. I was second team all state in baseball.
Oh wow! All right.
Okay.
Cool.
Where'd you
Cool,
go
yeah.
to undergrad?
You mean undergrad? I went to IU downtown.
Okay.
Go Jaguars.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah.
Now they're two separate schools. It used to be ooey pooey.
Well,
IU
I'll
and
tell
Yeah,
you what.
That's why I'm saying IU now. That's why I'm
yeah,
saying
look at
IU.
him go. Look at him go. Taking credit for that one. You
Did
probably
you play
voted
baseball
for
in
it.
college?
Huh?
Did you play baseball in college?
No, I'll tell you what, Tiffany. For some reason in my life, every time I got as good as I could get at something, I'd quit it and go something else. And I remember the first time I had a scout come from the Cincinnati Reds, I hit a home run, my first at bat, and he's sitting here in the thing. But then I said, second all state. I'm thinking, oh, that's pretty good. So then I just went to bowling. My dad had a bowling alley, and I won a bunch of tournaments. One tournament, I won $47,000 or something like that. I got as good as
Holy
I could
crap.
get. I quit. Yeah.
You've been
And
holding
then I
that
got
back.
huh?
Yeah, really.
What?
We didn't know you were a suave bowler.
I know.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And then I got as good as I thought I could get in that, and then I got involved in politics. And I guess I haven't gotten where I think I've got it as good as I could get. So every time I got as good as I could in something, I would move on to something else. And so
Well, we think you got it pretty darn good. And I, for one, actually, Mike, you are my senator here, and I'm glad to have you. So you other three on top.
you're my
sorry.
citizen. I'm glad to have you too.
Oh, well, hey, that's good. Now we're going to sing Kumbaya and pass out s'mores. We're going to wind it up here, Mike. We just appreciate you giving us, 45 minutes of your time. It's awesome.
Oh, really? Has it been
Thank
that
you.
long?
Yeah, well,
Okay.
time smoothly
It
goes
went
by.
quick.
It's,
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
have
You
to
were calling
tell
us out for like
What
all
now,
talking-
Brad?
Oh my God,
What?
we're all doing it again. I was gonna say it made me laugh so much when you called us all out for talking at the same time and you couldn't hear us. We do that all the time, and it's just
well,
No,
this.
I was going to say that you should tell your friends how easy it was, and it was the best 45 minutes that you've ever had having conversation with people on your phone or computer.
Yeah, that's what it is. Well, I think
It's on my computer. It's on my laptop. It's not on my phone. Technically.
in our defense, no one's in studio, so we really have to rely on, and there's a little delay. So I want to give us a little mercy tonight on that. But
Right.
Mike, you've been
Well, what's your viewers? I mean, you got like 20, 30, 40,000 people seeing me right now.
we got 21 live viewers, but we have
Oh,
a lot of people that watch it later or listen as a podcast.
Oh.
So
I will tell you that we are probably the premier political podcast in Central.
I'm telling you what, people have won and lost elections on this show, and hopefully I'll win one on March
We have
21st.
great people. Hey, you laugh, Becky
Well,
Cash.
but I am glad that you've got it. A Democrat, a Libertarian, a Republican, and you're a Republican. but you're the host, and two women, two guys. The only thing is there's three.
And we listen to everyone's opinion and we respect it, but we don't have to agree with it. So that's how we roll. I get
That's the way America is. We shouldn't have to agree with everybody all the time. I don't agree with. Heck, John, I don't agree with you all the time.
I know. I'm working on that though.
I don't agree with John's jacket, so there's that. So
Hey,
okay,
come
fun.
on. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Hey, don't make fun of
Well,
my
it's,
jacket.
it's a nice time. I appreciate everybody on your guys' thoughts and your questions. I just thought that Brad would be a little bit more, since I'm a Republican and he's a Democrat, he'd have a little bit more come after me on.
He's our we're
No,
almost
I
we're-
mean, I understand the whole. You have to have a conversation. Like, I don't want to burn bridges and like yell at you. Like, it's your fault.
Well, everybody, hey, Brad, everybody else does too.
nothing.
I'm used to it.
well, hey, Mike,
Like,
don't tell any.
because
Don't tell.
if somebody yelled that at me, I'd be like, oh, all right, thank you.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you something, Brad. This is a quick story. So when I first got as an office holder, I'd have people calling me names and yelling at me, and it just made me feel so bad. I said, why would they want to do that? I'm not here. I'm not a bad guy. And then it was so often I got used to it, and I got thick skin. It doesn't bother me a bit. But my mom would read the Star when they would say something about me, and she'd call me up and say, why are they talking bad? Why are they doing this? I said, well, Mom, that's our job. That's what they do to us. But if you don't like it, just don't read the Star.
Yeah. So Mike, when you get that, do you even read the stuff anymore? I mean, is it just? I mean, I've got a few
Read
people
what?
attacking me, so I know how that is.
Reading what?
Reading
I don't read
whatever the attack stuff is, or just,
No, I don't read it. I don't.
What
I don't
about
read
just
it.
allowing comments? Because I know that Micah Beckwith doesn't, allow comments on his official page, which is odd.
Well, on my
freedom of
campaign
speech
page,
and whatnot.
on my campaign page, if you go look at it, they were beating me up pretty good. And I don't take one of those down because I believe in free speech. I don't believe what they're saying, but I let them say whatever they want, as long as they're not vulgar. If they're not vulgar
and threatening.
then they can do it. If they do it, I'll take them off. Now on my personal
I'm
page,
most polite. I am the most polite person online.
Yes.
I can tell you how I met Brad. I met Brad when the Hamilton County Library thing was going crazy.
Oh my!
Tiffany was
Tiffany, I can see your eye roll.
I roll it up there. So Tiffany's on the board. Brad is on the outside, but there's all these crazy people up there. And there's Brad sitting up in the front row, just as calm as could be. He goes up and talks on the microphone. I said, you know what? That guy probably would be decent on our show. But Mike, I want to tell you, we're slowly turning him into a Republican. So I may have to change the name of the show.
Libertarians, shut your mouth.
Yeah, see,
John.
they're fighting over him. Everybody's fighting over Brad.
Watch my pearls.
Yeah.
The Brad draft coming up.
Yeah.
draft.
Fish tickets for
You got to be a
everyone.
first rounder or a second round draft.
Dude.
I tell you. I don't know.
All right, Senator Young.
About Brad.
We're going to let
found
you
the way
go
to this
now,
hole.
and we'll continue talking over each other without you. Okay, how's that?
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Hey, it's good to be with you guys tonight. I appreciate it.
Nice to meet you.
All right, thank you, Senator
thank you.
Young. All right, cool. All right.
Damn,
Hey, you
John,
guys.
you slammed the door.
No, I mean, when are you going to push the button?
Nice talking to you.
He's still backstage. I don't know.
Hey, he was trying to do the Midwest goodbye. It would have been
Yeah,
another
what-
15 minutes.
Oh,
and
I
I'm
had
not
a
sure.
lot of-
What a
I
good
like
guy.
him
I
a
mean,
lot.
what a really good guy.
You know,
Yeah.
there are
I mean,
some people down at the State House who really want to fight for the little people, man.
I'm telling you, he is that
So
way on
refreshing.
everything. When Lisa
So
was
refreshing.
running for office, he was in there counting the votes up because it was so close. I mean, she was winning with 89% counted, and he's like trying to figure out what. I mean, he just was on it. And I was down at the State House a couple weeks ago, and he was walking by going into the chamber thing, and I was walking by. He said, "Hey, come on up to the office." And so he takes me up to the office and sits down. And we talk, and I mean, he's just like a great guy. As far as we need more guys like that. That are willing to put it out there, and he's very reasonable. He will, like I said, his bill, they didn't like it, so he gave it to JD Prescott and said, "You try getting it through." And I, to me personally, that would harm me in the service business. Well, wouldn't harm me, but as a Mason, if I got a $100,000 job, I'm going to be paying $7,000 $5,500 on that is going to be extra tax that I would never pay. So, or I wouldn't have to pay the other way. But hey. It goes on to the customer. You know how that works. So
Yes, it does.
bricks cost more now. You can make your bricks without the straw.
Wait, no, that's not going to be how tariffs work, right?
no,
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 Lucy,
tariffs.
we were talking earlier.
Yeah,
I
that's how they're
know.
going to work, Brad.
Lucy was talking earlier about young people not being
you,
able to
Lucy.
afford homes
I
and
know. I'm not a
being
fan of
pushed down
tariffs.
to renters and stuff. I don't think the renters really understand that they're being raped. So I think that it's a really hard conversation to have with renters.
Yeah.
Like when I think about the places that I rented when I was in college, like just
Shouldn't renters get more rights then?
well,
We got
no, I
the
think that
Dorn has made an appearance.
there's this they are renting things that they cannot normally afford. Like think about like the first apartment you ever rented. My first apartment wasn't very nice. Like it was, it just was not a nice place, but people are renting things now with LVP
Well,
floors,
but I feel like there's a difference between
countertops, stainless steel appliances, and what you're paying, I don't know, $1,800 a month for, if that were a mortgage, you wouldn't be able to afford those things. And I'm just saying that there's just this gap between
I'm
there's a
going to break in on you.
one second. There's a gap between how people are living with what they're renting and what they could afford if they were buying. And they're not seeing that. And so the more rent you pay, the less you're able to save and the less you're able to bring the idea of home ownership to you as a person. And they're just losing so much money. But go ahead.
You got to have like 3 roommates. Go ahead, Lucy. I know you sell mortgage.
It's important. Yeah, I've been a mortgage broker since '96. And a real estate investor since 2002. It's important to note that 1% that goes for the homeowner, 2% goes for the landlord. On industrial properties and big apartment complexes, the property taxes are 3%. So if you're living in an apartment versus a single family home, you're experiencing another 1% of that value, and that could be $500 to $1,000 a year. And as Tiffany pointed out, you're living in an $1,800 a month payment in an apartment. You can't afford a house. Why is that? It's because the debt to income ratio that you're required to maintain as a borrower is very different from a renter. For a renter, a lot of places, if your gross monthly income is 3,600, they'll rent you a place for 1,800, and that's not going to happen if it's a mortgage. You're going to cap out at 28 or 36%. So, you got $3,600 a month coming in, you're not going to get anywhere over about $1,100 or $1,200 a month payment. So
But
people
the
will
other
choose
part
to pay better,
Sure.
choose to pay higher amounts, but they don't have to, because if those were all at 1% across the board, those people in $1,800 situations could probably be down at 15 or 1,400.
Well, then you add property tax on top of that. But my daughter's looking for a house. She's got 220,000 down, and she's trying to look at these houses in the 400 range. And Tiffany, they're going like gangbusters. I mean, they're on the market and they're getting list price and they're gone. So
She has to craft her offer. If she's sitting on that much cash, she has to craft her offer different.
Yeah, well, we tried. She almost got one up by you there, Tiffany, and Fisher's, but
You just
it
have to
didn't
craft
happen.
it, especially if she's so cash positive. But that's the thing, is that like a lot of these kids who are renting and these young professionals, they are renting things that they cannot afford to own. And so like that first house is usually a house, like walls and a roof and
Yes, there are no more entry level houses.
Pink tubs, ugly countertops.
Yeah, there's no modest.
Maybe something that is original from like the 70s or 80s. And, if it's a green refrigerator, don't touch it because it works. But the thing is that like the way that they're living is they are not living in places that they could afford the quality, the amenities, the location. And some of these folks who are renting, they're supposed to be living in Broad Ripple in a bungalow, with roommates. They're supposed to be doing something creative. And so the idea of living in Fishers is foreign to people because they don't have that equity from that first home. Fishers,
Right, you're not going to have it.
Fishers, Carmel, that probably isn't the place where you buy your first home, because usually that first home you're rolling in some equity and people don't have it. And it just makes me sad. That's all. Just makes me sad.
So I want to ask Brad a question about this, a little personal here, about your rent and the money you have extra. Are you pretty comfortable with your rent payment and have enough to do, to go to the Fish concerts?
I feel like I hit the jackpot. I think
you got a sugar mama.
No.
He's doing. He's got landlord with benefits. That's what he's got.
I don't want to move really at all because of what it is right now. So, and just my current situation. And that's working for me,
That's good.
But
well, yeah, and there's some spots, I know there's some apartments in Speedway on 16th and Lyndhurst where Lisa has her shop. They have apartments up above, and they've kept those rents down because they haven't, they got their mortgage paid off. I mean, obviously their property taxes go up some.
I mean, to me personally, owning a home is a cost that you cannot put a value on.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
I mean that the amount of work that you will have to do that you do not think of until you own a home, and then it's holy God. It is every day there is something to fix. There's something to do.
Not true.
And it is just all the time. And
It's
so
true.
I'm glad to be rid of it.
I would say maybe once a quarter.
Maybe just for that reason.
Once a quarter. My closet collapsed like 10 days ago. Like one of the rails that had like pants and dresses on it. I came in and it was on the ground. So it's once a quarter that something happens.
No, it's time to do a pull, Tiffany.
If I did a poll, where am I going to go? Where am I going to go?
That's good.
No,
okay,
so a pond on a golf course. Where am I going to go?
Yeah, it's like you got a pond. I know you got a pond behind your house.
Yeah, where am I going to go?
I saw Bigfoot ice skating. So we're gonna do the conspiracy theory tonight. Anybody got anything?
Oh, I've always got stuff.
All right, how about you, Brad?
Let's talk about Elon. We haven't talked about Elon yet.
All right, we'll go into conspiracy. We'll go into conspiracy theory mode. So get your tin. You guys ain't got tinfoil hats. You don't even have to play along anymore. Just don't even worry about it. I'll take care of it. Hey y'all, it's time for the conspiracy theory. So
you didn't put the thing on. Are y'all ready? Go get your tinfoil hats. How'd I do?
We could hear you. I got the other colanders over here in the
That was great. That was a really good impression.
Yeah, that was good, Tiffany. You're cracking me up. Starting out good now on this. So Tiffany, what's your prediction of speaking of conspiracy? What's your prediction for me being county chair? Have you given any thought?
Oh wow, I think Abdul's giving you a whole lot of free press.
Yeah,
so there's always that. He is your Cassie Jackson right now.
Oh yeah.
So I think when you get negative press, it makes people inquire and ask questions, and it could work out for your benefit.
Yeah. Well, he actually recorded our talking last night, and he didn't trash me when he put it out there. So I'm like, wow, we're making inroads a little bit. But
to your point about the county chair stuff, I actually had a conversation with our new state chair, Lana Kiesling.
When'd you talk to her?
I had a conversation with her today, and I'm really, really excited for her leadership. I think it will be really interesting to have a county party chair, a state party chair who is not out of Indianapolis. I think the balance of power will be nice. And I think that it will put the attention on our core Republicans from rural areas, the ones who carry us and continue to make us a red state. So
did you put a good word in for me? Because she's like the leader, our fearless leader.
I can share her phone number with you, and she's a very nice lady.
I got her phone number. I'm going to call her.
You should call her. She's a very nice lady.
Yeah.
Very
well,
nice
I sent her a message, and she said she had Montezuma's revenge that's going around, the sickness.
Oh. So I used to go to church with her mom and her brother.
Yeah, she's good. I like her. I actually saw her down at Family Day at the State Museum when they had the Family Day with Braun. And I'm like, what are you doing down here? What are you up to? So I knew something was up when she did that. I was a little surprised that he picked her. I think she's a perfect pick, but that's why I'm surprised she got picked. You know how that works. But
over the weekend, I went to Senator Banks's campaign school. That was really good too. I'm surprised.
Oh yeah, he did. He endorsed my opponent, but I got Mike to endorse me. So
who's your opponent? The chick, the lady?
Yeah, she wasn't there, was she?
I don't know.
Natalie Goodwin. Yeah, she's struggling with the speaking part. So they basically what they do is they don't let us speak at events. So they gave me a minute and a half tonight, and to talk, and yeah, it was fun. But we got the big show.
A good public speaker.
She acts like she's running for office, and she just rattles off her stuff, and she's not. Yeah, it's not that great. And she's got 2 consultants. She got Limestone Consulting, where they're spending some money on this thing. I mean, a lot of money.
County party chair.
I know, right? It's like anything to keep me out. I mean, look at me. I got a friggin' tinfoil hat on. You don't want me as a county chair in Marion County. I'm half crazy. Remember? That's what they say.
Only half?
Only half? What's the other half?
Nuts. Have this. I just, whatever. But yeah, we got the big showdown on the 25th. It'll be at the Broadmoor Country Club. It'll be our last debate before. But I'm making some calls, and I think it's basically they want somebody that's going to build the thing, or they want somebody to have the same thing we had the last 4 years.
Can you build it? Can you build it, John?
Oh yeah, I can build it. I'm a builder. I'm building a machine. I'm going to build a machine. Well, see, Annette Johnson and Mila Eldridge are on the other side battling it out. So, and Annette Johnson, I like her. She's good people. I mean, she's given me, as a Democrat, she's given me pretty, she's been nice to me. So
here's a question, John. Like, what do people need to know? What's your plan? What will you do?
My plan is this is my, I tell them my 4-month plan. The first month, I'm going to go out and fill up these PC spots, these precinct committeemen. We have 618. I'm going to fill every single one of them with somebody either lives there or real close. And I was able to recruit like 50, they got elected. So we do that. Then we're going to train them and we're going to build a machine. And then we're going to have a convention in June, like the Libertarians do. And we're going to talk about who we're going to run. We're going to talk about how we're going to do it. We're going to, mobilize our people. We're going to do all that stuff. And it's just something that we've been lacking here in Marion County for total. So I can see Brad's really interested in this plan.
So with the gender, what would be your vice? Do you have a preference?
Yes, I have Elizabeth Williams. She is a military veteran, took over 100 troops over to Iraq and brought them back alive and all that stuff. I mean, she's like a go-getter. And then we have Maury Strazel. She's Strozer. Yeah, Maury. She's awesome. She's our secretary. She's picked it up. And then Devon Anderson's the treasurer. So she's from Pike. Maury's from Lawrence. Elizabeth's from Franklin Township. And she was a game changer for us. And then, of course, Micah endorsing me. It really sort of took the sting out of the Banks thing. But I'll tell you why Banks did it. This is what Banks did this, because I had John Rust on our show. I mean, so it's like,
who have they selected to be her vice?
Dave Taylor. And if you want to, I could play a clip. Maybe I don't know if I can.
Who that is?
He's the constable for Perry Township. So what I think happened here is that they were asking people to be the vice chair for her, because I announced Elizabeth Williams and everybody's hair caught on fire because they thought she would never do that. It's political suicide or whatever, but she's more than happy to do it. And she's an awesome pick. And so they came out with Dave Taylor because, basically I matched somebody that would match Natalie, and they matched Dave Taylor with me. But he really did a poor job last night at Decatur. He just was not good. I felt bad for him. He stumbled. He had to get his notes out. He just, I know. You can listen. Abdul recorded it, so you can listen to it on his State House happenings. He recorded the whole thing. So, and Elizabeth Williams did a great job, and we have a great plan. I still got more tricks up my sleeve on this thing. I mean, we're just getting it going. They're playing catch up. They got all these high-paid consultants, and we're just running circles around them with my volunteer gypsies. So then we all got the badges on we're making it happen, Tiffany. Make it happen. So anyway,
that's good. Thank you for answering my questions.
Yeah, that was a long version. Sorry. So who's got a conspiracy theory? I got a conspiracy theory. I'm going to win the stinking Marion County chairman. It's a week from Saturday is the thing. So
we will be praying and sending good vibes.
Thank you. So maybe I should go there and wear my tinfoil hat on the. Do not do that.
No,
okay.
No. In fact, you should probably take it off right now. But when you talk serious, you should not have the hat on.
Yeah, I know. Well, at this point, they had, what Becky Cash on the conspiracy theory. So that's why really we should just not even let politicians come on here. I mean, look what happened to Jefferson Shreve when he did it. And so, well, let's put it this way: the same consultants that consulted Jefferson Shreve to come out with the gun thing are the same consultants that are consulting her. So I think we got a chance.
So, that's great news.
Yeah.
I almost cussed. Sorry.
All right, Lucy, tell me your conspiracy.
Yay, Lucy.
There are so many of them. How do I pick? So, I guess the thing that has amused me the most, and maybe, well, I would ask Brad to explain it to me because it's supposed to be Democrats, but I don't understand the Doge thing. I don't understand the opposition to the Doge thing. Why are Democrats as a whole complaining about people, Republicans, Elon Musk, whoever, trying to stop waste, trying to stop money going where it's unconstitutionally going, where it's being taken from the American taxpayer and the American taxpayer is not seeing a benefit? And
Over to
I
you,
mean,
Brad.
other than tribalism,
Over to you, Brad.
I'm wondering why it's not being handled by how are we not auditing these things as they go anyways? Like
nobody
from outside.
No, that's part of it. But then also, so why are we we're actually like listening to a lot of information just be given to us too. Like when Elon came out and said that there were like so many people being paid on Social Security, and his evidence was like a spreadsheet that he copied and pasted into Twitter as a response to, it was like people 67 or 60 to 70 years old, 80 to 90, like, and how many were being paid by Social Security. It was like supposed to wow us because that was the evidence. It's just not, anybody can make a spreadsheet. Give us.
Yeah, I think one
evidence.
of the bigger
Brad, you need to make a spreadsheet. Just make one up.
Brad,
like
that in America, there's a number of people in the United States who are able-bodied, working-age people who are on Medicaid, Medicare, disability, who are we just have I think there's like $1 trillion there, and people who could be working, who are choosing to do government handouts.
That's
the reason to go after that organization. But Brad, what I hear you saying is that Democrats are fearful that we're going to uncover this this history and corruption and use of money that's going to trail back to Democrat politicians and their family members who are probably running LLCs, non-for-profits, and these shell organizations, and they're pirating government money.
Gravy
train. Is it illegal because we disagree with it now? I guess
it's not. Is it illegal? Is it illegal or is it unethical? I think that's the problem.
I think it's more unethical, and I think it's both
really
sides.
The thing that I want to kind of
except the libertarians, they don't get anything.
My thing. So it's interesting you guys bring this up because right before the show started,
you got a check.
No, I got a Rob Kendall tweeted something about Todd Young. And he said, what is it here? You voted for all this. Why are you so inept that you voted to, trillions without proper safeguards? Duke of Spendingburg, which is apparently what Rob Kendall calls Todd Young. And so all I said was, isn't going back now to investigate being transparent? Like, isn't that the same thing Doge is doing? Just asking you guys now, like.
I didn't understand the question. You did it in a Jedi mind.
That was a statement. Yeah.
So are you having some back and forth with Rob Kendall? Is that what you're doing?
Well, not really. I'm getting yelled at more or less by some other guy now.
All caps.
It's probably Witty. It's probably Steve Whitmer.
But I think that
no, but
they're afraid.
I mean, Todd Young wants to investigate the COVID loans, and Rob Kendall's like, what do you mean you want to do this now? You voted for the trillions of dollars with no guardrails. And I'm like, why does that matter? You
know what is interesting?
Still be able to.
Senator Young's name. I've been in a couple of different situations and places. I think that it's going to be very, very interesting when he's up for re-election.
Yeah, it's going to be very,
Yeah.
very
Well,
interesting.
I mean, he's doing a lot of things that, like, I feel Democrats like, and it's scary because, like, when I like things that a Republican does, I'm like, oh, his days are numbered because, if I like it, that means you all hate it. So that was kind of a joke. I'm sorry, guys.
No, it was true. So we didn't laugh. So
Yeah. So
yeah, but to your point, Brad, like I can remember a couple of years ago, we were getting signatures at the state fair. There have been Hoosiers who've not been pleased with him for a couple of years, and I like Senator Young, but it is just really interesting. You know how like you can just take the temperature, see what's going on, and you get a feel for people. I think definitely things are changing. The
Yeah,
sentiment for him is changing.
it's going to be. He's got what, 4 more years? Is he up in 2030 or no? 28. Yeah, maybe.
You
I
just
don't
yell
know.
numbers. You just yell bingo.
Yeah. Just yell him out there. It's a long. He's still got a ways to go. It's like
Yeah,
4 more years or so because they get 6 years. So he's
yeah.
up in 28.
People have amnesia; they won't remember.
Yeah, they just don't remember. I mean, but honestly, people don't remember stuff. I mean, it's like, and what it gets me on this property tax thing is, they raised our property taxes in 2 years to friggin' nosebleed heights. And then they say, well, it's going to take 10 years to take it back down. No, you raise it in 2, you ought to get it down in 2. So, but they get drunk on the spending. I know what it is. And that's just how it is. It's just what they've done for all these years. But I think the Doge thing, I think a lot of people are excited, but I'm with you, Brad. I want to see the debt clock going backwards.
yeah, like because I'm like, what are they doing with like? Okay, so how is this work then?
The
I want
clock,
more.
the courts keep blocking it.
Yeah, so they keep
Can
sending
we
stuff out here.
can we please have that discussion of how the debt clock can never run backwards because they create the money out of thin air and then charge us interest on a fiction. So let's say that so let's say that Brad, you're the banker, and I'm a potato farmer, and, and Tiffany, you make
I'm
French
the
fries.
hat. We're playing Monopoly.
Yeah.
I'm the hat. I'm the
Yeah,
hat.
yeah. So
I'm
you're
the
the French
boot.
fry maker, and I go to Brad and I say, Brad, I've got this great business idea. I'm growing potatoes. I've already got a market I can sell them to. I need a loan for $100. And you're like, that seems reasonable, good business plan. But if I'm going to loan you the money, then I need you to pay interest. Nothing big, $6, 6% over a year is $6. So at the end of the year, you're going to owe me $106. And I think that's great because I know I'm going to make more than $106 in my business. I'm going to make way more than that. So then Tiffany goes to Brad and said, hey, I have a supply of potatoes that I can turn into French fries. Got a pretty solid business plan. Can I borrow some money? So she gets $100 from Brad. Same terms, 6% interest. At the end of the year, she's going to owe him $106. So Brad goes back and he prints the money out of thin air, just like the Fed does. And he disperses 100 to me and 100 to Tiffany. So over the course of the year, man, I'm selling her potatoes. She's selling me back these awesome French fries. But we get to December 31st and I owe Brad 106 and Tiffany owes Brad 106 and he only printed $200 to begin with. And there's 212 outstanding. That times 50 million, even worse, actually, than you can imagine, is exactly the situation that we're in. The only true path to debt freedom in this country is to recognize the illegal nature of the Federal Reserve. It was birthed in an illegal way. It was foisted upon the American
Jekyll
people. It has
Island.
been a total fraud. Yes, The Creature from Jekyll Island by G. Edward Griffin. You should all have read it. The only path is repudiation. The only path is to just simply tell them, you had your fun, now F off.
So how about the gold in
Want us to
Fort
burn
Knox?
our money?
How
There is
about
no
the
gold in Fort
they,
Knox.
they said there's supposed to be 24,000 tons
No,
or something like that.
no. You
So
do realize, okay, maybe
I
you
was
don't
going to say,
realize.
I got a real quick story. We did a bike race down at Fort Knox. And so when you go in, you have to show your IDs. So I had my teammates' IDs and I hand them to the guard and he looks at them and he fumbles them. And one goes flying up in the air and goes in that slot of your window. You know how your window's down? It went, I mean, it just went like a piece of bread in the toaster right down in my window.
That's
I
hilarious.
looked at the IDs and I go, whose do we lose? And it was mine. So it's in the van door. So I looked at the dude for the arm. I said, who paid for that? And he just sort of pointed that way. It didn't say a word, just like go in. It's like,
That is
okay.
so funny.
But I wanted to see if there was actually gold there too, but they won't let you near that. It's like you're not getting
No,
that.
I mean, you probably don't know this, but FDR declared us the enemy back in 1917. And you remember that he took all the gold. And so I want you to think about this just in a very practical sense and bring it back to the individual level here as a normal human. When your liabilities get to be larger than your assets and you can't pay your bills, you typically go into something called bankruptcy. And then your assets go into receivership by the trustee, and they take whatever assets you have and they distribute them to your creditors. And that is, in a very real sense, what happened to this country. So
Yep.
FDR took all of our gold so that it could be given to the creditors.
Oh, and then we never put it back. So
Well, it was never ours again. And see, this is, yeah, go ahead.
No, good. I was saying Brad's buddy Elon's going to do a live on TV where the gold thing, or live on Twitter or X or whatever.
Fossil.
He's going to do, he's going to do like where was that guy? Geraldo Rivera. Remember when he did? That's how he got famous, by doing Jimmy Hoffa's. Remember Jimmy Hoffa's?
He's going to do like a. He's going to do a live
Al Capone's vault or whatever. That's how Geraldo Rivera got started. He did that silly trick.
Did that thing with the wrestlers and got smacked.
Yeah, and then Jesse Waters did his peeps on the streets. So Elon's going to do the live on X, opening up to see if the gold's there. I mean,
Well,
that'll be
luck. Like that. That's what I mean. Like, I'm kind of in favor of them looking into things like that. When it said that Hegseth was going to look into the Afghanistan withdrawal, like, yeah, please do. That was horrific to watch as an American. So,
oh yeah,
but it's like, please look into it so we can learn what.
So we can learn
not to do.
Prosecute people. Oh my gosh,
that's fine too. But like,
there was a plan. The Trump administration had a plan for exiting Afghanistan, and it was given to the folks in the Biden administration, and they were like,
messed it up.
I'm sorry, this is like the COVID playbook then that was given to the Trump administration, that was, or like the pandemic playbook that was given to the Trump administration.
We were in DC. I was it was the ILF trip. We were in DC, and we went by one of those think tank operations, and we spent time with maybe General Kelly, and he talked us through how.
Wait, Chief of Staff?
He was the former chief of staff, and he talked us through the plan that they had put together for a logical withdrawal from Afghanistan. And he said that, first off, Biden announced the date they were leaving, which is horrible. And the leader of Afghanistan, they were supposed to sit down. The leader of Afghanistan was supposed to sit down with the leader of the Taliban. They were supposed to put together some kind of working government, working arrangement. And when that didn't happen by a particular date, he left the country, and he knew that the country is going to fall. There's a lot that did not happen.
It's just crazy times we live in. It's almost like I've been waiting 63 years to see somebody audit the thing, and I hope they get it right. But I'm not.
But Brad, I have a question for you, because you were talking about auditing and outside agencies. Do you think that government agencies should be audited?
I kind of thought that they already were. Like, we get audited at the library through the state.
What do they audit? Do they audit how you spend your money? Do they audit what you buy, or do they audit where you place erotic materials?
I don't think they get a say in our placement, but they do ask us like what we've purchased, to just, and it doesn't happen every year. It happens every like 5 years. And if that happens for libraries, how the hell is it not happening for?
Is that enough?
Social Security. I think like for our library, like, what are we gonna do?
Hey, we know you, Brad. We know you'll do stuff.
Because
you spend it all on fish tickets.
Every government agency, every agency that accepts taxpayer dollar should be subject to audit.
Yeah, exactly. Easy. So how is that not happening with the government entities that have existed for this long?
I think it's a chick, the Fox
house.
What'd you say? Fox guarding the hen house? That's what I was going to say.
Auditing the hen house.
Oh yeah. Well.
Yeah. Well,
so in us little people, we're not going to know what this goes on. They've been doing this for years, and people line up at the trough when they know there's government spending, and out they go. So, all right, kids, let's wind it up. You got one more thought, Tiffany? I'll let you have a thought.
No, I was just going to say, Brad, even with some of this Doge stuff, like the the things that are just they're just so humanitarian focused, and for them to happen, I just really would be interested to see that the nonprofits that are involved with spreading this government money around the world, because I think that's going to be very telling.
I like the one they have all these little things, like you see these memes on Facebook, and they're really sad. I lost my job. I was like doing research on snails that swam across the ocean, or some silly thing. They just come up with something, which obviously I can come up with a lot of silly things. So, okay, Brad, I'll let you have the last word since Tiffany asked you a question.
No, I just, as long as there's the evidence, just show the receipts, prove it. Don't just stand there in the Oval Office wearing a freaking hat. Okay. If you go in the Oval Office, take off your damn hat.
I will tell you,
respect, boy.
His accent, I think that he's probably 6 months away from showing up with one of those white dusty wigs on and a black cape.
Smoking a pipe.
I was listening to him talk, and the accent, I was like, oh my God, dusty white wigs are coming, and a black graduation gown. Trust me.
All right, on that, say good night. I don't know what we got. Maybe I can guilt Micah into coming in next week because he didn't get done with his. He said he had a radio thing or whatever, but he's like, they're wearing him out down there.
Who's more important than us?
I know. Well, nobody, but that's us. So, all right, kids, we'll see you next week, everybody.
Good night, Gary.